What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and France just beat Poland 3-1 to move on to the World Cup. Really good game by France. Their defense was strong throughout the game, just a late penalty for Poland. Midfield's looking really good, especially with that being a doubt going into the tournament. And their attack is just special with Mbappe up front. And not to mention Giroud, who's the actual striker. Mbappe's more playing off of him, but he's doing a lot more attacking than defending. Then you've got Dembele on one wing, who's looking really strong, really showing the form that he had when he was at Borussia Dortmund. And Antoine Griezmann continues to look good with France. Hasn't been able to replicate that with Barcelona, but back at Atletico Madrid, back playing with the French team, he's looking like a strong player again. This is a France team that I think at this point have to be one of the favorites for the World Cup. I think they're just behind Brazil, maybe even tied with Argentina at this point, because they just look like such a strong team. I mean, Mbappe at this point, probably the best in the world. Just such a dynamic athlete. Probably, like, is he the fastest player in the world? You've got him, like Alphonso Davies, like, he's probably there. And on top of that, such a good finisher. Like, already, like, 9 goals at a World Cup. Like, he's on pace to break Klose's record. And man, just such a special player. Like, the technique on his shots, amazing technical ability, great runs. Like, man, just such a great team. And then Giroud still looks like a pretty good striker. Does a good job occupying space and finish off his chance today. Man, such a good group of players. Rabiot and Chikemi, they're actually looking like a pretty good partnership in midfield. I was kind of expecting Camavinga to come in for Rabiot at some point, but he's been pretty solid. And I think when you compare him to the rest of the midfields he's going to face, like, when you look at that potential England game, like, he'll probably be able to hold his own against Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Mason Mount, Phil Foden, whoever they decide to start. So I feel pretty good about this French team, and their defense has been pretty good. Probably their biggest issue seems to be playing out of the back. Poland was pressing them pretty hard at times, and it was working. You could see a lot of giveaways that maybe an England would be able to pounce on, and man, Senegal, they could very easily spring an upset as well. But I'm just going to be assuming England. I think that there's a bit of a weakness there, but it's not that big of one, and I don't see England really being pressing them that much. But it is something to take note of. But aside from that, like, Varane's been looking good. His partner, like, man, Hayat's, like, he's been good. Kudia's coming at that right back job, and he's done pretty well. Hernandez has stepped in for his brother very well. I think he's probably better than his brother at left back. His brother might be the better overall player, especially at that, like, center back role, but Theo Hernandez is, like, such a much better left back, especially attacking. But it's looking like a really good French team. I think Hugo Lloris is a bit of a weak link in that team. Like, I don't know, for being, like, a World Cup winning captain, like, I really don't think he's that special of a goalkeeper. Like, comparing to Poland, I think Szczesny's probably better. Even, like, comparing to England and Senegal, like, I think Mendy's the better keeper. I'd probably say he's about at the same level as Pickford. Like, I just think he's a bit of a weak link in that team that might be able to get exploited. But very good for France. When you look at that Poland team, I think they gave a good fight. They were pressing really well in the first half. I think they're kind of gassed at the end. They had to play all 3 games. They didn't get a rest like France did. And, it might have been disappointing for them to just throw the last game away. I think it was probably the right call because they just had so much more energy than Poland. And that was able to really carry them. They were probably going to win anyway, but I think Poland, they were pressing France a lot in the first half. They just ran out of gas. They weren't able to make their chances count in the first half. For what I said, Lloris did make a really good save, which kept France ahead, or kept the game tied, I think, at that point. And, good job there. I think Poland, they did about as well as we could have expected this tournament. Good job getting in ahead of Mexico, but man, even that was down to the wire, and I feel like overall they didn't disappoint or anything. They just kind of hit the expectations. Robert Lewandowski got himself a goal, but not the best game, but it's tough when you're not getting that much service. I think his Poland career has been like a little bit of a disappointment, I think. like he hasn't gotten to a quarterfinal, and I think they've had some solid teams, especially around like 2016 when Gillick, Korviak, like they were they were pretty good at that time, and it's just kind of disappointing. Like when you look at his legacy, he's obviously going to be a great player, but I think he like doesn't separate himself from like a Luis Suarez, a Kareem Benzema, and he's just kind of like another one of the top strikers of this generation, and he's not going to really go down as like a no, he is a legend. He is an all-time great, but not like at the same levels like a Messi, Ronaldo, probably not like a Neymar. He's just a really good player. Like we'll remember him like we remember Drogba, Van Persie, like just really solid guys. But yes, my opinions on the game. France are looking really good. Looking ahead to that game against either England or Senegal, they're definitely going to be the favorites if they end up facing Senegal. I don't really see a way for Senegal to beat France. If they face England, you have to take note, Harry Kane's an elite striker. You have some really dynamic wingers and like a Sterling, a Saka. Hopefully they'd be starting Phil Foden at that point, but you never know with Southgate. I think that they're probably still the favorites against England, just that English defense isn't great, and I feel like Mbappe is such a good matchup. And unless Kyle Walker is 100%, like they're going to have to probably man mark him the entire game. Like, because he's going to get the better of Trippier. He's going to get the better of Alexander Arnold. He's got too much speed for Maguire or Stones. You can shift him to the other side. He'd get past Shaw really easily. Like, he's just such a dynamic player. And Giroud might be able to get himself a goal as well. That's Dembele's probably going to be good. Like, you're probably going to have Declan Rice watching Griezmann for a really long time. It's going to be hard for England to build out the back. Like, France is definitely going to be the favorite. They're not a guaranteed win, but it's looking like a really strong French team. And man, Mbappe, such a good player. Like, is this like, you can't even call it like a breakout tournament. Like, breaking out of like he's just a really good player to he's the best in the world, because he's just been amazing this tournament. Yeah, that's all I'll talk about. Really fun game. Yeah, see ya.